tested positive, HIV positive on the 23rd of March 2000. The doctor told us that we were going to die. Yes, exactly, he used the word die within 5 years. Because back then there was no ARVs. I'm sure everyone can agree with me. Because there was no medication. I remember some of the, there were times that we did take cotrimoxazole or amoxicillin. I knew those pills when I was in grade 5. I knew most of the pills as if I was a nurse or someone in the medical field. So I was just a good kid, like any kid elsewhere. I wanted to live, but after the doctor told us that we were going to die, stereotypes got affirmation. When my elder brother died in 2003, my elder brother died in 2003 November, my mother died in 2004 April, and my father died in 2006. So we were living in subordinate police care because my father was a member of the police force. So in 2006, that's when I wrote my O-level, and I was forced to leave the camp, and I came to live with my grandmother in Kensington. When results were published, I passed one subject with a B, English language. For me, that was the beginning of chaos in my life, because it was better living with parents who cared for me, parents who understood me, but now they were no more. Most of the people who lived with me then, they thought I was going to die. Like I told you, I had many names. I was called Goslow. Goslow, the meaning came from, I'm sure, I had a tiny body. I remember when we were still in the camp, when we were playing soccer, I would not be allocated a team most of the times. They would say, just play, just score. I look at some of those moments in my life, and that's the life I've known. I've never known what it's like to be HIV negative. And so I can't be compared with anyone. I'm me, and I'm proud of who I am. So when I started living in Kensington, we were poor. So I was working in farms. I was working in Chitibu farm. There was a farm in Chitibu that was being used by Pana. So we were working there. Chinouraya. Matassels would remove matassels, usually in March, and it would rain, and I would have incessant coughs. But I was not going to die then. It was not my time, because death doesn't come because you've got HIV. But okay, let me go to the media. Actually, some of the things that brought fear in my life were the information that was being relayed through other stakeholders. Because, like I said, they would say AIDS kills. They would say Mukondombera. They would say Chakati Kuya Chia. Each time HIV AIDS was talked about, then there was silence. It was really serious. You know, it was really serious to speak about HIV. That's why, like most of people with it, I went into hiding. And I even though I looked like I had it, I would deny it, just like what Peter did towards Jesus. I didn't want to be labeled. I didn't want to be to be discriminated basing on the fact that I had HIV. But I understood that I would live and I would possibly get married one day. But when I was in Shengoton, things were really tough, and I did not expect to live until now. But God was with me throughout the times. In 2010, I was now 20. I was walking along Loma Gundi, going, there was Barclays Bank towards DNR. So my father had an account with Barclays Bank. So I kept his pay slips and some account details. I had some of this information with me and some of the documents with me. So I just thought, because things were really tough, and I just entered I entered the bank. So I had this mohawk with, tan, yes. And I had a tattoo, and I had earrings. Yeah. Just like, I was taking a lot of, yes, I did take banje, because my friends told me that it actually gave strength. They told me that it gave strength, but to me it never did. So I wanted to be part of them. I wanted to be part of my friends. I wanted to be like them. So when I entered this bank, there was this lady. I remember the lady because the lady knew my father. So she approached me and said, Kensington, how are you? It's been long. Where is your father? And I told her that my father had died 4 years back. And she was like, what happened? I said, he got sick and died. He was sick and he died. Then I requested to see whether or not my father's account had anything in it. That's why I have, when I'm telling my story, I want you to believe that God exists. I want you to appreciate life from an angle of grace, that there are certain things called grace. I was told by that woman who worked in Barclays Bank that there was $1,000 in my father's account, USD. My father had died before the USD currency. Then they told me to go to the master of High Court to go through the due process, the processes involved. So I had no death certificate, my father's death certificate. So I went to see the chaplain, the police chaplain. His name was Inspector Munyonga. These are some of the people that I have never met I never met again, but they really touched my life. Inspector Munyonga assisted me to do some of these things. I acquired the death certificate and I got the money. So I wanted to buy a 323. I wanted to do the two pirates, two, three. But the master, the smaller master. So the inspector, I remember I was at the police station there, and he was asking me what I intended to do with the money, and I told him that I wanted to buy a 323, and it was costing around $800, I'm sure. And he looked at me and told me something about school. 4 years after I had set for my O-level exam, he told me that if I were to go and start again Form 3, I would pass. And he told me that he would pray for me. That's the only thing that he told me. He said, you would pray for me and I would pass. that was a very tough decision to take, because there were certain things that I considered like lifespan, because the doctor had said I was going to die. That thing actually stayed with me for quite some time. And there was money that had to be eaten, to be spent, you know. Yes, because I really wanted to eat. There was tea manyane shasha. The first thing that I did was to go to the deli, and I bought myself, you know, a nice meal. Yes, I needed that break. I needed that. But I thought and thought. Then the chaplain said, if you are to pass, and he promised me that I would pass, he would help me to join the police, the Zimbabwe Public Police. And I had to make decisions. You know, I had to make decisions. But the only person who would understand me at that point was my mom's sister, because she's also HIV positive, and she actually understood me better than most of the people. So after receiving the money, I took a bus to Mureo, Bere village, Mukarakati. That's where I went and saw my mom. I told my mom about school, and she said, go. And I went to see the headmaster at Chipinda Secondary School, and he just said, you know, I was very old and I had many names. I'm at Kadara, Ancestor, a lot of names, you know, because but one thing that my mom told me before she died was, when people laugh at you, laugh with them. They will feel embarrassed. So when they called me Kadara, I would correct them and say, call me Mdara, because I was actually the eldest. I was actually the eldest at Chipinda Secondary School. Then I did my O-level, and I had 8 subjects, 4 A's and 3 B's and a C. I passed Maths B, English B, Science A, and I was so happy. Very, very happy. But when it's not your time, it's not your time. So I expected to get a job, maybe join the police, maybe join the army, but some of the things that hindered me was something to do with my health, my age. There were a lot of things involved. I could not go for teaching because I didn't have money to pay for college. So the euphoria disappeared. That was 2011. I wrote my O-levels in 2011. 2012 I was still home. 2013 home. So I was heading this old woman's kettle. So she would say, "Mombe zangu dzinofudzwa nemuna ane maths ne-English. Dzinofudzwa nemuna ane maths ne-English." You know, some of those jokes, and I didn't have any problem with that because I had maths and English, and I tofudzwa mombe zangu, and that's life. 2014, a certain guy called Kuda approached me and said, we can assist you to go for A-level. Would you take the opportunity? 2 years after now, I was now 24. But there's a verse in the Bible that says, I know the plans that I have for you. So my body would just match. You know? So I agreed because I was desperate, but if I had any option, I would have taken the other route because going back to school 2 years. But I accepted, and I went to start my Form 5 in 2014 at St. Paul's Msami. As always, teachers would ask for our ages in class, and people would know. And you would get nicknames, and so I was in a boarding school, so I was sharing a hostel. I had my medication, so I didn't want people to know. So sometimes I ensured that I took the medicine, but it was actually deep within. It was a bit painful. I don't know if Nak, you are listening. These are some of the challenges that affect children in boarding school, because they share hostels. So it greatly affected me, but it didn't affect me academically. Not that I was so smart, but because I was actually coming from the village and learning at a better school where most of my classmates were from Harare and bigger towns, and they could speak fluent English more than I could. But I don't know for what reason they made me a class monitor, because I was old. Then they made me a deputy head boy. So I would get double share now at the DH, and I would make those ones run. Those with swag, they would run, and for me it was great. For me it meant a lot at that particular point. Then I would later score 15 points. In 2015, I sat for my exams. I scored 15 points. I went to, and I was admitted into law school. So at one point, there was a sister called Sister Matanja. I don't know, I haven't been in Chinouraya for quite some time. Sister Matandi, she was at Alaska Clinic back then. She helped me to take again my medication. I don't know if I'll ever see that nurse, but she really assisted me, Sister Matandi. So I wrote a book about my life with HIV, because I understand that there's another Kensington out there. I'm not alone, like what I've said. There's another Kensington out there going through the same challenges, but that Kensington does not have role models. That Kensington, because most of people like Kensington are in hiding. They will never expose themselves. They will hide. They will succeed, but in hiding. So that Kensington is just where he is, and he doesn't know if there is anything in life. So I've written a book. Maybe one day that Kensington will read the story of Kensington and appreciate life, that life can change. God can make things possible. The title of the book is Touched by Grace. Because grace touched me, I would not have achieved this without God, because the life actually was too complicated. I think I'll give this book to the minister.